this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Sharma bag. This bag is a part of a larger collection called the Sharma collection. The pattern is available for free on my website, and it's also available as a premium PDF which you can purchase. This video is designed to go alongside the written pattern, so please be sure to check the description box below and get the link so that you can be looking at the pattern as well as doing this tutorial. For this pattern, I have used King Cole Cotton Soft in the shade Dusky, but this range does come in lots of really beautiful colours, so make sure that you go and check it out. I am using a 4.5mm crochet hook. I will show you how to check your gauge to make sure that you are hitting the right gauge, and if you need to change your hook size, then you can go ahead and do that. You will need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends, a tape measure for measuring your gauge, and a stitch marker. And then for this pattern, I have used one of these bag straps, which are available in all different colours. Again, I'll leave a link in the description box below so you can see which one I have used, but you do just want to make sure that it does have the clasps to attach to the bag. So as I say, I'll leave all of the links in the description box for you. So go ahead and grab everything and let's get started. So we're going to begin by making a magic ring. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to lay the tail end over our finger, bring the working yarn around to make a cross, and then we have two strands. We're going to take our hook, go under this first strand, and then pull the working strand, which is between our finger, through just here. Going to go ahead and chain one just to secure that into place, and pull out our finger, and there we have our magic ring. So for the foundation of this, we're going to go ahead and do 8 double crochets, which is US single crochets, into this magic ring. So insert the hook, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. That's 1. Insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once you have your 8 double crochets, which is US single crochets, you're going to go ahead and pinch those stitches and pull on that tail end to pull your magic ring closed. So now what we're going to do is we're going to join our last stitch to our first stitch. If you're unsure of which your first stitch is, we can count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So it's just into this one here. You're going to go into that stitch, so working under both loops. You might just want to give your yarn a little bit of tension here just to make this slip stitch here a little bit smaller as you're pulling through. So pull through and pull through, and it just makes your slip stitch a little bit smaller. So for round 2, we're going to begin by chaining 1, which does not count as a stitch here or throughout the work. And I just want to point out here where we're going to be working our very first stitch for each round. You see here where there is a gap at the base of the chain 1. That is our very first stitch. And then there is also a stitch just before the chain 1 just here, which looks like it could be a stitch, but actually this is our slip stitch from the previous round. So we're always going to ignore this stitch. So for round 2, we're going to take these stitches from our stitch count from 8 to 16. So we're going to double. And to do this, we're going to work 2 stitches into each stitch all the way around. So we're going to be working a half treble crochet, which is a half double crochet in US terms. So we're going to yarn over, go into that very first stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and then again into the next into the same stitch, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. You can go ahead and insert a stitch marker to the very first stitch to make sure that you are remembering that's the first stitch of the round. So again, we're going to work 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and into the next, 1 and 2. And you're going to pause the video and work your way all the way around until you have done your 16th stitch into the last stitch. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just worked my way around, remembering that this last stitch just here is actually the slip stitch, and we're going to ignore that. And then we're going to insert our hook into the very first stitch and join with a slip stitch. And that is our round 2 done. So for round 3, we're going to chain 1 again, does not count as a stitch. And we're going to increase by 8 stitches in this round again. So we're going to do 2 half trebles, which is half doubles in US terms, into that very first stitch. Insert our stitch marker into the first stitch, and then into the next stitch we're just going to work 1 half treble, US half double crochet, and we're going to repeat that all the way round. So 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then 1 into the next stitch, and then 2 into the next stitch, 1 and 2, and 1 into the next stitch. So you're going to go ahead and pause the video, work your way round until your last stitch. You will have 24 stitches in this round, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so I've just worked my way around. I'm going to remove my stitch marker and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch. Now we're going to move on to round 4. So I'm going to chain 1 and then again work 2 treble crochets into that very first stitch and mark the stitch. And then this time I'm going to work 1 half treble crochet into the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. And then repeat that again, 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 and 2, followed by 1 stitch into the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. 2 stitches into the next stitch, 1 and 2, followed by 2 individual stitches, 1 and 2. So again, you're going to repeat that all the way round. You're going to have 32 stitches in this round. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So once you've worked your way round, you're going to join with a slip stitch to your first stitch. And then this is the point where we want to measure our gauge. So you can go ahead and grab your tape measure. And at this point, we should be measuring around 2.5 inches. So my gauge is correct. So from here, right up until round 11, we're going to be adding 8 stitches per round. And we're going to be doing the same sort of pattern increase for each round. So we're now on round 5. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to start off with those 2 half treble crochets into that very first stitch, 1 and 2, marking our stitch. And for the previous rounds, where we did our increases, which is 2 stitches into 1 stitch, we did 2 individual stitches. Now for this round, we're going to do 3 individual stitches, 1, 2 and 3, before we go into our increase, which is 2 of those half trebles, US half doubles, into 1 stitch, and then work 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and then do our half trebles, and then do our 2 half trebles into the next stitch. And then for the next round, you'll do 4 stitches between the increases. For the round after that, it's 5 stitches between the increases, etc. until you end up with 11 rounds and you're doing 9 stitches in between the increases. If you do get lost of where you're up to, you can count your rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're doing 5 rounds. You can take 2 away from 5 and we know there's 3 in between. If you're doing round 7, you take 2 away from 7 and you're doing 5 in between. So if you remember that and also be following along with the written pattern, make note of where you're up to, pause the video and then meet me back after you've done your 11 rounds and you have your 88 stitches. So now you've worked your 11 rounds. Our next round is going to be worked in the back loop only so that we can start working up the sides of the bag. So what we're going to do here is we're going to chain 1, which again does not count as a stitch. And we're just going to work into the back loop only of each stitch all the way around. So this first one is slightly more tricky to get into. You want to yarn over and then find the back loop of that very first stitch, which is just at the base of the chain 1, and work our half treble, which is a half double in US terms. You can go ahead and pop your stitch marker into that very first stitch. And then you're simply going to work into the back loop only of each stitch all the way around for your round 12. It's going to create a little bit of a ridge just here, which is what we're looking for. But go ahead, pause video, work 1 stitch into the back loop only of each stitch all the way around, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now you've worked your way around, we're going to join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch. And we haven't increased here, so you should still have your 88 stitches. So as you're working, you might find that these stitches actually cup towards you, but the right side of the work is going to be facing outwards. So we want to have this groove on the outside. So actually it should cup this way. But however it's sitting for now, that's absolutely fine. Just let it do whatever it needs to do as you're building the next few rows. And as you add a few more, it's going to be easier to keep in its actual shape. So now for rounds 13 through to 16, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then we're going to work a half treble into the full stitch and each stitch all the way around. So we're not working into the back loop for these rounds, we're working into the full stitch, and it's just 1 stitch in each stitch all the way around, joining with a slip stitch when you get round to the beginning. So again, you're going to just have 88 stitches in these rounds, and you're going to work this for round 13, 14, 15 and 16. So go ahead, pause the video, make sure that you make notes of which round that you are on, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so now you have your base of your bag, and then the bag sits a lot better now that we've built some of the sides. And now what we're going to do is the main stitch pattern. So we're going to be starting this. We're going to start off by doing a standing double crochet, which is a standing single crochet in US terms. All we do for this is just lift up our hook a little bit like this, so elongate this chain, and then we're going to go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have your 2 loops on your hook, and yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And then I would recommend that you pop your stitch marker in there to mark your first stitch. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then we're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet into the next stitch. This double crochet is the first of our pattern repeat, so we're going to double crochet, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then skip 3 stitches and then start the pattern repeat again. So double crochet, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, skip 3 stitches and then start the pattern repeat again. Double crochet, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and skip 3 stitches. You're going to work that all the way around. You'll end with your skip 3 stitches, and I'll show you how we're going to finish off this round. So pause the video and then meet me back once you're ready. So now we've worked our way round, and we're going to join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch. And then we're going to slip stitch over into the chain 5 space to begin this next round, and we're going to do a pattern repeat. So we're going to do a double crochet, which is a US single crochet, into that very first stitch, and mark that stitch with a stitch marker. And then we're going to do a series of stitches in this next chain 5 space to create the shell. So we're going to work 3 trebles, which is a US double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and then 3 trebles into that same space, 1, 2, and 3. Into the next chain 5 space, we're going to work a double crochet, US single crochet, and then work our shell into the next chain 5 space again. So 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3, and then into the next chain 5 space we're going to work a double crochet, US single crochet. You'll do that all the way around until you finish with your last shell before your marker. So pause the video, work your way around, and meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've worked your way around, we're going to remove that stitch marker from the first stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into there. So up until now we've been working in the same direction, but for this main part of the bag where we're doing the main stitch pattern, we're going to be turning now. So we're going to turn our work, and I recommend that you turn so that the yarn is facing the inside rather than twisting around like this. So remember, you can tell the front of the work by this ridge at the base of the bag. And what we're going to do here is we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then another 3, 4, 5, 6, and this counts as the first chain 3 counts as a UK treble crochet, US double crochet, and then a chain 3. Then we're going to skip 3 stitches and then work a double crochet into that chain 1 space. And you can go ahead if you want to and mark that 3rd chain up as your first stitch, and then we're going to chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then treble crochet, which is a US double crochet, into that next stitch. So it's that double crochet between the 2 shells, chain 3, oops, my stitch marker's falling out, skip 3 stitches, and then double crochet, US single crochet into that chain 1 space, chain 3, skip 3 stitches, and then treble crochet, US double crochet into that next stitch. So you're going to work that pattern repeat all the way round until you get to your last chain 1 space and chain 3. Pause the video and I'll show you how to finish off this round. So now you've worked your way around, you're going to skip those last 3 stitches, and then you're going to join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 6. And then again we're going to turn our work. So we're going to begin this next round. So this is round 20. We're going to chain 3, which is going to count as a treble crochet, US single crochet, and then we're going to work 3 trebles into this next chain space, US double crochets, and then a treble crochet into the next stitch, and then 3 trebles into the chain space, and then a treble into the next stitch, And this is what we're going to be working all the way around. 3 trebles into the next chain space, and then a treble into the next stitch. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way round until you've done your 3 trebles into this final chain space, and then meet me back once you're ready. So at the end of round 20, you're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch. Join with a slip stitch to that first stitch, and we're going to turn our work. And what we're going to do is we're going to repeat rounds 17 to 20. So this chain, double crochet and chain 5, that's what we're going to repeat. So I'm actually just going to spin around the other way so that I have my yarn facing forwards. And we're going to work a standing double crochet into that very first stitch. Chain 5, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet into that next stitch. So just as we did for round 17. So as I say, we're going to repeat rounds 17 to 20 twice more, 1 and 2, until you get to round 28. So pause the video, rewind if you need to, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've done your pattern repeats, we're going to be working in rounds again without turning, and we're going to do 3 rounds of the same thing. So we're just going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and half treble crochet, which is half double crochet in the US. In that first stitch, you can mark your stitch, and you're going to do that in each stitch all the way around. So just a half treble in each stitch all the way around. And as I say, you're going to do that for the next 3 rounds. So go ahead, pause the video, work those 3 rounds, and then meet me back once you're ready. So now we're going to do the final rounds. We're going to work a standing double crochet into that very first stitch. We're going to skip 3 stitches, and then we're going to work 6 treble crochets into that next stitch. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that creates a fan in that stitch. We're going to skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then double crochet, US single crochet into that next stitch. And then we're just simply going to repeat that all the way around. So skip 3 stitches and then 6 treble crochet, which is US double crochet, into that next stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip 3 stitches and then double crochet, US single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to work that all the way round until you've done your final 6 trebles, and then meet me back and I'll show you how to finish off this round. So now that you've worked your way around, you're going to join with a slip stitch into that very first stitch, and then you can go ahead and fasten off. And then all that's left to do is sew in your ends. So I like to do this with the rule of 3, just working in and out of the stitches. Going one way. And then back the other way, trying to work in a slightly different route. And then once more, back the other way. And then you can fasten off. And then you want to find the back of the work where you've worked your beginning stitches, which is just here. I'm just going to turn it the other way. And then you can take your strap and then loop that. I like to have it, it's not going to be completely symmetrical where you place these, so I like to place the first one and then have the second side just going slightly back, so it's actually still in the same position, it's just that there is more fabric on the front. And once that is attached, you now have your Sharma bag. So I really hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Please make sure that you tag me on social media and share your pictures if you make this. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this video, then you might also like this one too.